The stars looked the same as they always did. Tay sat in the cockpit of his patrol ship, watching the endless void of space. He had been a pilot for the Galactic Coalition for 3 years now. Most days were boring. He flew the same routes, checked the same sensors, and reported the same empty readings. But things were changing. Everyone could feel it. The Vrex were coming closer. Every week, another colony went silent. Every month, another world fell dark. The Vrex were not like the 7 species of the Coalition. They did not talk. They did not trade. They only consumed. World after world, they turned everything into more of themselves. Tay's communication panel beeped. A message from the station. He was being called back early. That was never a good sign. When he docked at the orbital station above Primus 4, the hallways were crowded. Ships from all 7 Coalition species filled the hangars. Soldiers rushed past him. Medical teams prepared emergency supplies. War was coming, even if no one wanted to say the word out loud. Tay, wait up. He turned to see He running toward him. She carried a data pad under one arm and looked excited despite the chaos around them. He was a xenoarchaeologist, someone who studied ancient alien ruins and artifacts. They had met during a cultural exchange program 6 months ago and had become friends. You need to see this, he said, pulling him toward a quieter corridor. Her eyes shined with the look she got when she found something interesting in her research. I just got called back from patrol. Something big is happening. I know. Everyone knows. The Vrex broke through the outer line last night. 3 colonies are being evacuated right now. She looked around to make sure no one was listening. That's why you need to see what I found. She led him to a small research lab. Inside, holographic displays showed images of ancient texts. The symbols glowed in the dim light. Tay had seen these before. He called them the Ancient Scrolls. They were found on dead worlds throughout the galaxy, always in ruins, always written in languages that took years to translate. Look at this section, he said, expanding one display. I've been working on these texts for 5 years. Everyone thinks they're just religious stories. Myths about gods and monsters, aren't they? Tay asked. No, I don't think so. He pointed to a series of symbols. These scrolls talk about a species called the First Ones. Others call them the Terraborn. According to every text I've found, they were real. They existed. Tay looked at the translations. The words described beings of incredible endurance. Creatures who could survive in environments that would kill any coalition species. Warriors who fought with a ferocity that frightened even themselves. Builders who could turn dead rocks into living worlds. It sounds like fantasy, Tay said carefully. He did not want to hurt his friend's feelings. That's what everyone says. But listen to this part. He scrolled down. 10,000 years ago, there was a great catastrophe. The scrolls call it the Long Sleep. The Terraborn disappeared, just vanished from the galaxy. They left warnings carved into stone on 100 worlds. Beware the swarm, they wrote. Beware the hunger that consumes all. The words made Tay's skin feel cold. The swarm. Like the Vrex? Exactly like the Vrex. He pulled up another display. I think the Terraborn fought the Vrex before. 10,000 years ago. And I think they won. But the cost was so terrible that they chose to disappear rather than continue. Where did they go? He showed him another set of symbols. That's what I've been trying to find out. Most of the scrolls end with the same phrase. They went home to sleep. To the silent zone. Where no voice calls and no light shines. The silent zone? Tay knew the name. Every pilot did. It was a region of space that appeared empty on all sensors. No stars. No signals. Nothing. Navigation computers marked it as an error zone. Ships were told to avoid it. I think that's where they came from, he said quietly. I think that's where they went to hide. Or to wait. The lights in the lab flickered. An alarm sounded through the station. Tay's communication device chirped with an emergency code. All pilots to battle stations. The Vrex had arrived at Primus 4. I have to go, Tay said. Wait. He grabbed his arm. Tay, I found coordinates. Buried in the oldest texts. I think they point to the Silent Zone. To the homeworld of the Terraborn. We're about to fight for our lives. Ancient legends can't help us now. What if they're not legends? Her voice was desperate. What if they're just sleeping? What if they're waiting for someone to wake them? Tay wanted to stay. He wanted to tell her that maybe she was right. But the alarm was screaming now, and his duty called. He ran for the hangar. The battle for Primus 4 lasted 6 hours. Tay flew mission after mission, watching his fellow pilots die one by one. The Vrek ships were alive, made of flesh and metal fused together. They healed damage faster than the Coalition could inflict it. Their weapons turned ships into drifting tombs. When it was over, Primus 4 was lost. The Coalition fleet retreated. Tay's ship limped back to the rally point, with half its systems dead. In the days that followed, the Coalition Council met in emergency session. Tay heard the reports. 5 more worlds had fallen. The Vrek's advance could not be stopped. Some council members wanted to abandon the outer colonies entirely and retreat to the core systems. Others wanted to make a final stand, even if it meant extinction. No one knew what to do. No one had an answer, except maybe he. Tay found her in the same research lab, still studying the ancient scrolls. She looked up when he entered. Her eyes were red from crying or lack of sleep. Probably both. I'm going, she said before he could speak, to the Silent Zone, to find them. That's insane. Even if these Terraborn existed, they've been gone for 10,000 years. Then I'll find their graves and I'll know the truth. But Tay, what if I'm right? What if they're just waiting? What if we're all about to die because we were too afraid to believe in legends? Tay looked at the scrolls, at the warnings left by beings who vanished from history. He thought about the Vreks, unstoppable and hungry. He thought about all the ways they were going to lose this war. How long would it take to get there? He asked. He smiled for the first time in days. 3 weeks. If we leave tomorrow, we'll need a ship, Tay said, and a crew we can trust. I already have people in mind, he said. Wu from engineering. He can keep any ship running. And Na from tactical. If we find trouble, she'll get us out. Tay nodded slowly. He was probably about to throw away his career, maybe his life. But what did any of that matter, if the galaxy was ending? Let's go wake up some legends, he said. The research vessel slipped through space like a ghost. Tay sat at the controls while he checked her navigation data for the 100th time. Behind them, Wu worked on keeping the engines quiet. Na watched the sensors for any sign of pursuit. They had stolen the ship 3 days ago. Well, borrowed without permission. Tay tried not to think about the court-martial waiting for him if they returned. If they returned. We're approaching the boundary, Na said. Her voice was tense. She was a combat specialist, trained to fight battles with clear enemies. This mission made her nervous. The Silent Zone appeared on their screens. It looked like a hole in space, a region where sensors simply stopped working. No stars shined from within. No signals came out. It was as if reality itself had decided to leave that area blank. Coordinates locked, he said, taking us in. The ship crossed the boundary. For a moment, every system went dark. Tay's heart stopped. Then the lights flickered back on, and they were through. The stars looked different here, older somehow, dimmer. Tay checked the navigation computer. According to the data, they were exactly where his coordinates said they should be. Scanning, Wu called out. I'm picking up. Wait. There's a system here. 1 star, several planets. How is this possible? The charts show this whole region as empty, because no one's been here in 10,000 years, he whispered. Look at the 3rd planet from the star. Tay brought up the image. The planet hung in the darkness like a blue-green jewel. Oceans and continents. Clouds swirling in patterns that meant weather, atmosphere, life. But something was wrong. The continents were scarred with massive craters. The oceans looked murky. And there were no lights on the night side. No cities. No signals. It looks dead, Na said. It looks wounded. He corrected. There's a difference. They moved closer. The space around the planet was filled with debris. Ancient satellites tumbled in broken orbits. Defense stations drifted, cold and silent. Their weapons still pointed at the stars. This had been a fortress world once. Now it was a tomb. Reading structures on the surface, Wu said. Underground. Deep underground. They're sealed. Life signs? Tay asked. Can't tell. The interference is too strong. Wait. Wu's display flashed red. We've been scanned. Multiple sources. Active defense systems are powering up. The ship's alarms screamed. Tay saw weapons locking onto them from the surface. Ancient weapons, but still functional. Still deadly. He shouted. Do something. He grabbed the communication panel. Her hands shook as she scrolled through her translations. I'm broadcasting on all frequencies, using the phrases from the scrolls. The weapons continued to track them. Targeting solutions completed. He spoke into the microphone, reading from her data pad. The words were strange. Angular sounds that did not fit naturally in any coalition language. She repeated them 3 times. The weapons stopped. The targeting locks released. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was rough, as if the speaker had not used it in a very long time. The words were in the same language he had spoken. Translation? Tay asked desperately. His eyes were wide. It's asking who we are, what we want, why we've come. Tell them about the Vrex. Tell them we need help. He spoke again. Her voice was stronger now, more confident. She explained about the Galactic Coalition, about the Vrex swarm consuming worlds, about the ancient scrolls that spoke of the Terraborn. Silence. Then the voice spoke again. This time, the translation software finally caught up. We thought everyone had forgotten us. We have been sleeping while the galaxy moved on. If the swarm has returned, then perhaps it is time we woke up. The ground beneath them began to move. Massive structures rose from beneath the planet's scarred surface. They were ships, but unlike any ship Tay had ever seen. Kilometers long. Built like cities that could fly. Dirt and rock fell away as they climbed into the sky. How many? Na whispered. Hundreds, Wu said. No, thousands. They were buried across the entire planet. The voice spoke again. Land at these coordinates. We will meet you. It has been 10,000 years since we spoke with visitors. We have much to discuss. We have much to discuss. Tay guided their small ship down to the surface. The planet's atmosphere was breathable, but felt heavy. The landing site was a vast platform of metal and stone, ancient but still functional. As they stepped out of their ship, they saw the planet up close for the first time, scars everywhere. This world had been through hell. Nuclear fire, biological weapons, things Tay could not even identify. Whatever war had happened here, it had nearly destroyed everything. A door opened in the platform. Figures emerged. Tay's first thought was that they looked wrong. Too tall. Too symmetrical. Their movements were smooth but somehow predatory. They wore simple clothes, but carried themselves like soldiers. Their eyes scanned everything, noting threats, calculating angles. These were humans, the Terraborn, the first ones, the legends made flesh. The leader stepped forward. He looked older than the others, with gray in his hair and scars on his face. When he spoke, the words came out in perfect coalition standard. My name is Jin. I was a commander in the final war. I chose to sleep rather than continue killing. Welcome to Earth, children of the galaxy we left behind. He found her voice first. I'm he. I've studied your history for years. Your people left warnings, stories, lessons carved in stone across 100 worlds. Jin smiled sadly. We left warnings because we became the monsters we fought against. We were too good at war. Too adaptable. Too willing to do whatever it took to win. He looked up at the sky. We nearly destroyed ourselves. Then we nearly destroyed others. So we came home and went to sleep, hoping that when we woke, the galaxy would be ready for us. Or that we would be ready for it. A woman joined Jin. She was younger but carried herself with the same tired authority. I'm Sunday. I was a strategist and scientist. I helped design the long sleep. 10,000 years we've been dormant, waiting for a reason to wake up. It seems the universe has found one. Tay stepped forward. The Vrex swarm is destroying everything. We've lost dozens of worlds. Our fleets can't stop them. They just keep coming. The Vrex, Jin said. The word seemed to pain him. We fought them before. They nearly wiped us out. But we found a way to hurt them. To break their unity. The cost was, he looked at the scarred landscape. The cost was almost everything. Can you help us? Na asked. Her hand rested on her weapon without her realizing it. Jin noticed. He made no threatening move, but his eyes locked onto Na's hand. When he looked back up, she saw something in his expression that made her blood run cold. Not anger. Recognition. The look of someone who understood violence intimately. We can help, Jin said quietly. But you need to understand what you're asking. We didn't go to sleep because we lost. We went to sleep because we were afraid of what we'd become. We were afraid that we'd won too many times, in too many terrible ways. We're desperate, he said. We're dying, Sun spoke up. Then we'll teach you how to fight like we did. We'll show you how to hunt the Vrex, how to hurt them, how to make them fear you. She paused. But we'll also show you why we ran away from ourselves. All around them, more humans were emerging from the underground cities. Millions of them, waking from their long sleep. They looked at the stars with expressions of wonder and dread, as if greeting old friends they had hoped never to see again. Jin turned to his people and spoke in their ancient language. Then he looked back at Tay and his crew. We'll help you. We'll fight your war. But when it's done, we return here. We don't want to conquer. We don't want to rule. We just want to survive without becoming monsters again. The coalition will agree to any terms, Tay said. Good. Jin looked at the sky again. Because once we start fighting, you'll understand why we scared ourselves so badly. You'll see what we can do, and you might decide that the Vrex are the lesser evil. He shook her head. No. I've read your warnings. I know your history. You're not monsters. You're people who learned from terrible mistakes. Jin laughed, but there was no humor in it. We'll see if you still believe that when this is over. Come. We need to show you what's waking up. Then we need to contact your coalition and tell them that their legends are real, and that their nightmares might be too. The Coalition Council refused to believe the report at first. Ancient myths coming to life. A hidden human civilization offering to save them. It sounded like fantasy. Then the Vrex attacked Colony 7. The colony had 30 million people. The Coalition sent every available ship to defend it. They knew they would lose. They always lost. The best they could hope for was to evacuate some civilians before the Vrex consumed everything. But this time, something different happened. Human ships arrived. They were old vessels, designs from 10,000 years ago. But they moved with a precision that made Coalition admirals weep with envy. They did not charge forward like heroes. They did not waste their fire on glory. They fought with cold, calculated efficiency that was somehow more frightening than any battle cry. Tay watched from his cockpit as the humans engaged the Vrex bioships. The Vrex vessels were alive, pulsing with organic energy. They regenerated damage. They adapted to weapons. They had beaten every Coalition tactic. The humans did not care. A Vrex ship tried to heal from weapons fire. The human vessel waited until the regeneration cycle peaked, then fired into the fresh tissue. The bioship screamed across all frequencies. Another Vrex vessel moved to defend its wounded companion. The humans had predicted this. A trap sprung. 3 human ships converged, cutting off escape routes. They're hurting them, Na said over the communication channel. She was flying nearby, like predators separating prey from the herd. Tay saw it now. The humans were not just fighting. They were hunting. Every move was planned 3 steps ahead. Every attack was designed to create opportunities for the next one. And when they had the advantage, they showed no mercy. They struck until nothing remained. The battle ended in 4 hours. 4 hours. Coalition battles against the Vreks usually lasted days and ended in retreat. Colony 7 was saved, but the Coalition forces were shaken. They had not seen combat like this before. The humans fought with a controlled violence that was almost artistic in its precision. Worse, they had boarded damaged Vreks ships. They had fought the Vreks hand-to-hand, in close combat, something no Coalition species would even attempt. The humans had won, but they had also terrified their allies. Tay was assigned as a permanent liaison to the human fleet. He requested it. He wanted to understand these people who had risen from legend, to save them all. Or maybe to destroy them all. He was no longer sure which. He met Sung on the training deck of a human vessel. Sung was a soldier, young by human standards but with eyes that looked old. He smiled when he saw Tay. A genuine expression of warmth that seemed at odds with what Tay had witnessed in battle. "So you're the pilot who found us," Sung said. "He told us about you, said you were brave enough to come to the Silent Zone. I was terrified," Tay admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you alive." Sung gestured to the training area. "Want to see how we prepare?" What Tay saw over the next hours changed everything he thought he knew about warfare. The humans did not train for glory. They trained to survive. Every exercise was designed around worst-case scenarios. They practiced fighting in damaged suits with failing systems. They simulated being outnumbered, outgunned, surrounded. "We evolved on a hard world," Sung explained as he demonstrated a close combat technique. Earth was beautiful but cruel. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years, predators that hunted in packs, diseases that killed entire populations. "We learned to outlast everything that tried to kill us. But you also learned to kill," Tay said quietly. Sung stopped. His smile faded. "Yes. We're very good at killing. Too good. That's why we ran away." Another human joined them, a woman named Yuri, who worked in diplomatic services. She had a gentler manner than most humans Tay had met, but he still caught the way her eyes constantly scanned for threats. "Commander Jin wants to speak with you," Yuri said to Tay. "The Coalition Council has finally agreed to a meeting." The meeting took place in neutral space. On a Coalition station, Jin arrived with Sun and a small security detail. The 7 species of the Coalition sent their highest representatives. Everyone was nervous. Legends were one thing. Real, dangerous beings were another. Jin did not waste time with pleasantries. "We'll help you win this war, but we have conditions. You're in no position to make demands," one of the council members said. His species believed in honor and formal hierarchies. Jin's expression did not change. "We're in every position. We can leave right now. Go back to Earth. Seal ourselves away for another 10,000 years. Your species will die. The Vreks will consume everything. But we'll survive. We're very good at surviving." The silence was heavy. "What are your conditions?" asked another council member. "We fight under our command structure," Jin said. "We use our tactics. You don't interfere with our methods. When the war is over, we return to Earth. You forget about us. We get to go back to being a myth. How do we know you won't turn on us?" someone asked. Sun answered this. "You don't. You have to trust us." Which is ironic. Because 10,000 years ago we couldn't trust ourselves. But we learned. We changed. We chose to sleep rather than conquer. We're asking you to believe in that choice." He stood up. She had been allowed to attend as an observer. "I've studied their history. I've read their warnings." The Terra-born left messages across the galaxy. Every message said the same thing. "We were dangerous, but we chose to stop. Learn from our mistakes. And now you're asking us to unleash that danger again," a council member said. "We're asking you to let us protect you," Jin said. "The Vreks are an extinction-level threat. We've fought them before. We know their weaknesses. We know how to hurt them. Yes, we're dangerous, but we're dangerous to your enemies. Not to you. The debate lasted hours. In the end, desperation won. The coalition agreed to Jin's terms. They had no choice. The Vreks were winning. Over the next weeks, human forces integrated with coalition fleets. Tay flew missions alongside human pilots. He watched them train coalition soldiers in new tactics. He saw Sun and her team share their knowledge of Vreks biology and behavior. He also saw the reactions of his fellow coalition members. Some were grateful. Some were amazed. Some were terrified. Na fell into the last category. She had been assigned to a joint boarding team, learning close combat techniques from a human marine named Quan. Quan was patient and professional. But Na saw the way she moved. The casual strength. The reflexes that seemed impossibly fast. They scare me, Na confessed to Tay one night. Not because they're cruel. Because they're not. They're kind and funny and they tell jokes. But then they suit up for combat, and they become something else. Something that knows exactly how to kill, and doesn't hesitate. They're trying to save us, Tay said. I know. That's what scares me most. If they can be this dangerous while trying to help, what were they like when they were trying to hurt? Tay did not have an answer. The humans shared more of their history. They showed coalition scholars recordings from their final wars. The images were horrifying. Humans fighting humans with weapons that cracked continents. Cities burned. Oceans boiled. And through it all, humans survived, adapted, found new ways to keep fighting. We were fighting ourselves, Sun explained to a group of coalition scientists. That's important to understand. We didn't fear extinction from outside forces. We feared extinction from inside, from our own nature. So we stopped. We made the hardest choice we've ever made. We chose peace by removing ourselves from the equation. We won, and now you're back, someone said. Now we're back, Sun agreed. But we're different. We've had 10,000 years to think about our mistakes, to remember why we ran away. We're not here to conquer. We're here to protect. And when it's done, we go home. A young human named G approached Tay after one of these sessions. G had been born just before the long sleep began. He had been a child when humanity went into hibernation. Now he was awake in a galaxy he did not recognize. Do you think we can do it? G asked. Fight this war without becoming the monsters we ran from? Tay thought about the question. He thought about Sung's kindness and Jin's weariness. He thought about the way humans train to survive rather than to glory in battle. Yes, Tay said finally. I think you can. I think you already have. G smiled. I hope you're right. Because if you're wrong, the galaxy will have traded one threat for another. That night, Tay could not sleep. He kept thinking about Na's words, about the difference between humans at rest and humans at war, about the controlled violence he had witnessed. He pulled up the ancient scrolls on his data pad, read them again, found a passage he had shown him once. The Terraborn were the galaxy's greatest hope and its darkest fear. They could save worlds or destroy them. In the end, they chose to save the galaxy by removing themselves from it. This was their greatest act of courage. Tay hoped the ancient writers were right. He hoped humanity's courage would be enough. Because the real war was about to begin. And everyone was going to see exactly what humans could do when they stopped holding back. The Vreks had a fortress. Deep in the outer territories, they had built a massive staging ground. Thousands of bioships gathered there. Millions of Rex drones worked to convert captured worlds into resources. It was the heart of their invasion. Destroy it, and the war might turn. The coalition had known about it for months. They also knew it was suicide to attack. The fortress was too strong, too well defended. Every simulation ended in total defeat. Then Commander Jin saw the battle plans and laughed. It was not a happy sound. You're thinking like prey, he told the coalition admirals. You're trying to be strong enough, fast enough, tough enough. That's not how you beat the Vreks. Then how do we beat them? an admiral asked. Jin's smile was cold. We cheat. We lie. We make them afraid. We turn their strengths into weaknesses. The plan Jin proposed was insane. The coalition admirals said so repeatedly. It required splitting their forces. It required sending small teams deep into enemy territory. It required sacrificing ships to create distractions. It required humans to do things that no coalition species would attempt. Jin listened to their objections patiently. Then he said 4 words that ended the debate. We've done worse before. We've done worse. We've done worse. We've done worse. Sun presented the technical details. The Vreks operated on a hive consciousness. Individual drones were not intelligent. They followed signals from larger controller organisms. Those controllers took orders from even larger Nexus creatures. It was an efficient system. It was also fragile. Hit the Nexus, and the whole swarm loses coordination, Sun explained. They don't die, but they become confused. Vulnerable. We've designed a virus specifically to target Vreks neural patterns. We just need to get it into the central Nexus. How close do you need to be? Someone asked. Very close. Inside the Nexus itself, the room went silent. That's impossible, a coalition general said. The Nexus is surrounded by thousands of Vreks. It's inside the fortress's most protected zone. Nothing could get through. Sung stood up. He had been quiet until now. Something can. We can. Tay saw the looks on the human faces. They were not excited. They were not eager. They looked tired and sad. Like people about to do something terrible, but necessary. I'm coming with you, Tay said suddenly. No, Jin said. Yes, this has to be a joint mission, human and coalition together. Otherwise, what's the point? We're supposed to be allies. Jin studied Tay for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. You'll follow orders. No heroics. You stay alive. Understood? Understood. Na volunteered next. Then Wu. Then others from various coalition species. In the end, Jin selected a strike team of 20. 10 humans, 10 coalition members, the best warriors from both forces. The training was brutal. The humans pushed everyone past their limits. They taught coalition fighters how to move in zero gravity, how to breach hulls, how to fight in close quarters against overwhelming odds. Quan led most of the training. She was patient but merciless. In battle, you don't get second chances, she told them. You survive the first time, or you don't survive at all. They practiced the mission hundreds of times. Every step was choreographed. Every movement was rehearsed. The humans called it a high-risk insertion. Coalition members called it a death sentence. He came to see Tay the night before the mission. She looked worried. You don't have to do this, she said. Yes, I do. I found them. I brought them into this war. I need to see it through. The scrolls say the Terraborn were brave to the point of suicide. I always thought it was exaggeration. Now, I'm not so sure. Tay smiled. They also say the Terraborn never fought alone if they could help it. That's why I'm going. To show that we're in this together. The battle began 3 days later. The combined coalition human fleet jumped into the Vreks fortress system. Alarms screamed across every ship as thousands of enemy vessels moved to intercept. The fleet split as planned. The main force engaged the Vreks directly, drawing their attention. The ships fought with desperate intensity, selling every meter of space with blood and fire. Meanwhile, the strike team launched in a small stealth ship. Wu had modified it extensively, using human technology to mask its signature. They slipped past the main battle, heading for the fortress's core. Steady, Jin said over the communication channel. His voice was calm. Remember your training. Trust your team. We've all done harder things than this. Tay wanted to ask what could be harder than flying into certain death. Then he remembered the recordings of humanity's final wars. The images of humans fighting humans. He understood, for them, Fighting an external enemy was almost a relief. They reached the fortress. The structure was massive, grown rather than built. Organic walls pulsed with alien life. The team suited up and prepared for the breach. Go, Jin ordered. They cut through the hull and poured inside. Immediately, Vrex drones attacked. The humans moved forward like a machine, covering angles, supporting each other, never wasting a movement. Coalition members fought alongside them, learning in real time how to match the human combat rhythm. Sung fought next to Tae, watching his back. The human moved with impossible speed, taking down Vrex with precise strikes, but he also called out threats, helped Tae when he stumbled, pulled him back from dangerous positions. Stay close, Sung said. We're almost there. They pushed deeper into the fortress. The Vrex numbers increased. The fighting became desperate. Quan took a hit, saving Na from a drone. She kept fighting even as her suit leaked atmosphere. I'm fine, she said when Na tried to help. Keep moving. The Nexus chamber opened before them. It was a cathedral of flesh and machinery. The central Nexus pulsed in the middle. A massive, brain-like organism that coordinated the entire Vrex invasion. Smaller controller creatures surrounded it, receiving and relaying commands. Plant the virus, Jin ordered. Everyone else, hold this position. Sun and two other human scientists moved forward with the virus package. The rest of the team formed a defensive perimeter. Vrex poured into the chamber from every entrance. The battle was chaos. Tae fired until his weapons overheated. He watched coalition and human fighters fall one by one. But they held. Through desperation and determination, they held. Virus is planted, Sun called out. 30 seconds until activation. A massive Vrex warrior form broke through the defensive line. It moved towards Sun, claws extended. Sung threw himself between them. The Vrex struck. Sung went down. No! Tae screamed. He and Na rushed forward. They drove the Vrex back, but it had done its damage. Sung's suit was torn. His wounds were severe. Virus activated, Sun said. We need to evacuate now. They grabbed Sung and ran. Behind them, the Nexus began to pulse erratically. The virus was working. Vrex across the chamber started moving randomly. Their coordination broken. The retreat was a nightmare. They fought their way back through the fortress, dragging their wounded, leaving their dead. The stealth ship was where they left it. Wu had kept the engines running. Everyone in, Jin shouted. Move, move, move. Tae helped carry Sung into the ship. The human was barely conscious. Blood soaked his suit. Na worked frantically to seal the wounds while Wu launched the ship. They broke free of the fortress just as the main fleet delivered the killing blow. With the Nexus down, the Vrex coordination collapsed. Their ships stopped working together. They became targets instead of a swarm. The fortress died. The Vrex fleet shattered. The coalition won, but Tae only cared about Sung. The human lay on a medical table, fighting for life. Human doctors worked alongside coalition medics, both sides sharing knowledge to save him. Tae waited outside, unable to do anything but pray to gods he did not usually believe in. Na sat beside him. Her hands still shook. Quan saved my life. Then she saved it again. Then Sung saved both of us. They're not monsters, Tae said. They're heroes. They're both, Na replied. That's what makes them so frightening. They know how to kill so efficiently because they've spent thousands of years learning. But they choose to use that knowledge to protect instead of conquer. Hours later, Sun emerged from the medical bay. Her face was tired but relieved. He'll live. He's weak, but he'll recover. Tae felt tears on his face. He did not try to hide them. Can I see him? He asked. Sun nodded. Sung looked small in the medical bed. Tubes and monitors covered him, but his eyes were open. When he saw Tae, he smiled. Did we win? Sung asked, his voice weak. Yes, the Vrex are broken. The war isn't over, but we're winning now. Good. Sung's smile faded. I'm sorry you had to see us like that. See what we become in battle. You saved my life, Tay said. That's what we do. We protect. We just have to be very good at violence to do it. Sung closed his eyes. Thank you for fighting with us. Thank you for treating us like people instead of weapons. Tay held his friend's hand until Sung fell asleep. Outside, the victory celebrations began. The Vrex threat was broken. The galaxy was saved. But Tay could not celebrate. He kept thinking about Sung's words. About the price humans paid to be heroes. About the scars they carried from being too good at survival. He found Jin standing alone, looking at the stars. We won, Tay said. We survived, Jin corrected. There's a difference. What happens now? Jin was quiet for a long time. Now comes the hard part. Now we have to figure out what to do with a galaxy that knows we exist. A galaxy that's seen what we can do. The victory celebrations lasted 3 days across Coalition space. The Vrex were defeated. Their swarm was broken into small groups that could be handled by normal defense forces. Worlds that had been marked for death were now safe. Children would grow up without fearing the sky, but in the quiet corners, away from the parties and parades, difficult conversations were beginning. Tay sat in a conference room with representatives from all 7 Coalition species. Commander Jin and Dr. Sun represented humanity. The topic was simple, but terrifying. What happens next? You've saved us, one representative said. We owe you everything. You owe us nothing, Jin replied. We came because it was the right thing to do, because we remembered what it was like to face extinction. We didn't want others to experience what we went through. But now you're here, another representative said carefully. You've proven your power, your ships, your weapons, your soldiers. Some of us are wondering what comes next. The unspoken question hung in the air. Are we safe from you? Jin did not pretend to miss the meaning. Some of you want us to leave. Some want us to stay but under strict observation. Some probably want us to disarm and submit to Coalition authority. He looked around the table. All understandable positions. All reactions we expected. Sun pulled up a display. Before we woke up, we planned for this moment. We knew that helping you would reveal our existence. We knew it would create fear. So we prepared a proposal. The display showed Earth and the surrounding space. We return home. We seal off our system again. But not completely. We maintain limited contact. Cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, emergency protocols, if another existential threat appears. You just go back to hiding? Someone asked, surprised. Not hiding, Sun said. Choosing. We don't want to conquer. We don't want to colonize. We don't want to build an empire. We've tried all that before. It ended in nuclear fire and poisoned skies. We just want to live quietly and rebuild our world. What about humans who want to stay? Yuri asked. She had been quiet until now. Some of us have fallen in love with the galaxy you've built. We've made friends, found purpose. Do we have to go back? Jin looked at Yuri with understanding. Anyone who wants to stay can stay. But, as individuals, you join Coalition worlds as immigrants, not as colonists. You follow their laws, respect their cultures. You become part of their societies, not separate human enclaves. And what about future threats? A military commander asked. What if something worse than the Vrex appears? Then you call us, Jin said simply. We'll wake up, we'll fight, then we'll go home again. Think of us as a reserve force. We exist, we're ready, but we're not involved in daily affairs. We're not a political power you need to balance against or ally with. The debates went on for weeks. Some Coalition members loved the proposal. Others distrusted it. Some wanted stronger connections with humanity. Others wanted all humans to leave immediately. Tay watched it all unfold. He also watched the humans react to their own situation. Some, like Yuri, wanted to integrate with the galaxy. Others, like Jin, wanted to return to Earth and never leave again. And some, like the young human G, were torn between both options. I was a child when we went to sleep, G told Tay one evening. They sat in an observation lounge, watching stars drift past. I don't remember Earth before the wars. I only know it from recordings and stories. Now I'm awake in a galaxy full of different species, different ideas, different possibilities. How am I supposed to choose between that and isolation? What does your heart tell you? Tay asked. G laughed quietly. My heart is confused. But I think I want to stay. I want to be part of this galaxy. I want to prove that humans can be more than weapons. We can be artists, teachers, friends. Then stay, Tay said. We need people like you. People who choose peace. He had been working with coalition historians to document humanity's return. She interviewed hundreds of humans and aliens, capturing their stories. One day, she asked Tay to come to her research lab. I want to show you something, she said. She pulled up recordings from the ancient scrolls alongside new interviews with humans. Look at the pattern. 10,000 years ago, humans left warnings across the galaxy. They told everyone about their mistakes, their violence, their choice to disappear. Now they've returned, fought a war, and their first instinct is to leave again. What does it mean? Tay asked. It means they've learned, he said. Real learning, not just words. They've internalized the lessons so deeply that even after saving the galaxy, their instinct is to remove themselves from power. That's not the behavior of conquerors. That's wisdom. You sound like you want them to stay. I do. But on their terms, not ours. If we force them to stay, we make them into what they fear becoming. If we respect their choice, we give them space to be what they want to be. The Coalition Council finally voted on humanity's proposal. After months of debate, they accepted it with modifications. Humans would return to Earth but maintain an embassy in Coalition space. Individual humans could emigrate freely. Scientific and cultural exchanges would be encouraged. And most importantly, humanity would be designated as a guardian species, ready to respond to existential threats, but otherwise independent. The announcement was made across the galaxy. Reactions were mixed. Some celebrated. Some protested. Most simply felt relief that a decision had been made. Tay attended the farewell ceremony on one of the human vessels. Thousands of humans were preparing to return to Earth. Jin stood with Sun, Quan, and others who had fought in the war. They looked ready to go home. Will you be happy on Earth? Tay asked Jin. The old commander smiled. Happy? I don't know. But we'll be safe. More importantly, you'll be safe from us. That's what matters. We were never in danger from you. You don't know that. We don't know that. History says that powerful species eventually abuse their power. We're choosing to remove ourselves from that equation before it becomes a problem. Sung approached, walking with a limp from his injuries. He had recovered but would carry the scars forever. I'm staying, he said. I've applied for immigration to Primus 4. I want to teach self-defense to civilians. Help them feel safe. Jin did not look surprised. You'll be missed. I'll visit. Earth's not that far away. As often as they'll let me, Tay promised. Na and Quan stood together nearby. They had become friends during the war. Na was also staying in Coalition space, having accepted a position training defensive forces. Quan was returning to Earth but promised to return for visits. We'll see each other again, Quan said. This isn't goodbye forever. It's just goodbye for now. Yuri had organized a group of 50 humans who wanted to stay. They would scatter across Coalition worlds, becoming teachers, artists, engineers, diplomats. G was among them. He had decided that his future lay in building bridges between humans and other species. Thank you for waking us, G told he. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for proving I was right to believe, he replied. The human ships began departing. One by one, they left Coalition space and headed back toward the Silent Zone, toward Earth, toward home. Tay watched them go from his patrol ship. He sat beside him in the co-pilot seat. Do you think they'll be happy? She asked. I think they'll be at peace. That's more important. And us? Are we better for having met them? Tay thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the battles, the sacrifices. He thought about Sung's smile and Jin's wisdom. He thought about humans choosing to leave rather than rule. Yes, he said finally. We're better. We've learned that strength isn't just about power. It's about choosing when to use power and when to walk away. The humans taught us that. They taught us more than that, he said. They taught us that legends can be true, that myths can walk and breathe and bleed, that the most terrifying monsters can also be the kindest friends. They taught us to be careful what we become when we grow powerful. On Earth, the returning humans began the work of rebuilding. They had a planet to heal, cities to restore, a civilization to remake, but they did it quietly, away from galactic attention. They had been legends once. They had been nightmares. Now, they chose to be neither. They chose to be human. Nothing more, nothing less. Months passed. Then years. The galaxy moved on. The Vreks were gone. Peace returned. Human immigrants integrated into coalition societies, bringing new ideas and perspectives. The embassy maintained friendly relations. Children learned about the Terraborn in school, but now as history rather than myth. Tay visited Earth for the first time 3 years after the war ended. Jin met him at the landing site. The planet looked better. Green was returning to the scarred continents. Oceans were healing. Cities hummed with quiet life. You're doing well, Tay observed. We're doing what we should have done 10,000 years ago, Jin said. Living peacefully. Working together. Building instead of destroying. They walked through a memorial garden. It honored those who had died in the war against the Vreks. Human and alien names were carved side by side. Do you regret waking up? Tay asked. Jin was quiet for a long time. No. We were needed. We helped. That's enough. And this time, when we step back, we're doing it right. We're not running away in shame. We're choosing peace from a position of strength. That's new for us. The scrolls were right about you, Tay said. You were the galaxy's greatest hope and darkest fear. But in the end, you chose hope. We chose to let others choose, Jin corrected. That's the real lesson. Power means nothing if you can't walk away from it. Tay looked at the memorial, at the names of the fallen. He thought about Sung, now teaching on Primus 4. About G, becoming a bridge between worlds. About all the humans and aliens learning to build a future together. The ancient scrolls had promised that the Terraborn would return when needed. They had. But they had done something more important than just fighting. They had shown an entire galaxy what true strength looked like. It looked like walking away. It looked like choosing peace. It looked like being strong enough to let others live free from your shadow. The sun set over Earth, painting the sky in colors of hope. Somewhere in the galaxy, former legends lived quiet lives, and everyone was better for it. The story was over. But the legend would continue, retold for generations, not as a tale of conquest, but as a reminder. The truly powerful are those who know when to be gentle.